So in '77, I moved to Kentucky. I was actually working out of high school, wasn't sure if I was going to college or not. I had an opportunity to hire on at a local police department here in Russell, Kentucky. And I hired on, went through the police academy and came out for the next 5 years. Worked here in Russell, Kentucky as a police officer and also as a designated marksman for the department. And after about 5 years, I was a little bit bored with police work. And a friend of mine who was in a Special Forces guard unit came down one night. I was working midnights. He said, "You ever think about joining the military?" And I said, "I think about it a lot." He said, "What do you think about getting in a Special Forces unit?" I said, "That sounds pretty exciting." He said, "Would you come up and take the exam, entrance exam, and see if you qualify?" I said, "Yeah, I'd be glad to do that." So I traveled to Huntington, West Virginia, and took the entrance exam. Pretty extensive battery of testing. And the sergeant came in that administered the test and said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I love guns. I love shooting." I told him I'd love to go to weapons school. He said, No, you don't understand. What do you want to do? We're going to let you write your own ticket. You just scored the highest entrance exam in Special Forces that we've ever recorded.
This lays about 2 times bigger than it needs to be because it's so big and so heavy, there's no chatter in the bed.
Advanced weapons technology, we were about 2 hours south of Columbus, about 2.5 hours kind of a little bit southeast of Cincinnati, Ohio. We actually machine our own 700 Remington style actions. It's a Remington footprint. We bring in blank barrels that's already drilled, rifled, heat treated, stress relieved, and all those, and they come in as a blank, and then we turn them to the different tapers and applications needed for a particular type of rifle. We do our own milling of slides, our own frames. They're actually our frames and slides, and we do all the machine work and fit those all together. They're all hand fitted after the machine work. We thread, chamber, and cut our own rifle barrels and fit them up, and we hold them to extremely tight tolerances, which gives us the accuracy that we need. Most of our rifles will shoot in the .1s, 1.0 being a minute of angle. Ours will shoot in the tenths, .1 area of accuracy, and our handguns will shoot about 1.5 inches at 50 yards. So we're really into the precision shooting. I'm not interested in working on anybody's shotgun or lever action rifle or anything like that. I'm into the high-end precision handguns, long-range precision type rifles. So I took a leave of absence from the police department, went in Special Forces and started my basic training and so forth, and I loved it. I enjoyed it, every minute of it, and won several awards while I was in. In fact, they told me that I was the only soldier that ever went through basic training at Fort Jackson that ever won a perfect score on all oral, written, and practical exams. They offered me a direct ride to officer school. I didn't want to do that. I thought that was too early. So I went on to the rest of my training. I went to airborne school in Fort Benning, Georgia. And after leaving there, I went to Fort Sam in San Antonio, Texas, where I started my combat medic school. So I just kind of immersed myself in it, and coming out of there, I won the Commander's Award for combat medic of that training cycle. Went back to Fort Bragg, rotated back to my unit, and while I was back at the unit, the state police recruited me and asked me if I would be interested in joining the Kentucky State Police. So I did that. During that time, I was selected to be on the SRT team. They sent me through SRT school, which is Special Response Team. And they sent me to sniper school that Carlos Hathcock was teaching. And he's the most famed sniper in all of Marine Corps and probably in all of military history. The state police, to spare no expense, they sent us to his school to learn the logistics and so forth of actual long-range precision shooting. And I went through the sniper school and was fortunate enough, my partner and I, to come out of sniper school as top gun. And the thing with police shooting, it's a whole lot different, and the ranges aren't as far, but the shots are so much more precise. Because in warfare, you're trying to stop or put someone down. In police engaged shootings, you're actually trying to stop somebody that may be holding someone a hostage, or the threat level is much, much higher, and there's no room for error whatsoever. The other thing is a missed shot can ricochet or go down the street or go through a building or whatever and hit an unintended target. And then heaven forbid if they are holding someone hostage and you mess up, there's a good chance they're going to kill the hostage. So there's a lot more pressure on those types of shootings. And I've actually laid out hours and hours on end at night in the middle of the rain trying to talk somebody out of a situation, and you can't do anything but lay there.
All right. Going 6 first.
Okay.
Paper target, center mass. Going hot.
You're hitting it.
Yeah, I heard that.
You're hitting the target right at the edge of the bullseye, right here, between 2 and 3 o'clock.
So we teach a long-range precision 1,000-yard class, which is a little unique in that it's not showing up at the range and me just teaching you and telling you how to shoot. It's a 4-day class, and I send you a workbook that you have to read prior to coming, and it's a half-a-day lecture in the morning, and then applying that lecture that afternoon at the range. So we go into great depth and real detail with what we're teaching. We're teaching cartridges and powder and primers and loads and barrels and harmonics and stocks. And why is a rifle accurate? Why is it not accurate? We talk about the Magnus effect, which is the high and low pressure of a bullet spinning. It's called spin drift also. And we teach the Coriolis effect, which is the rotation of the earth and how that affects. And we get into great detail about the scientific aspects of long-range shooting as well as the practical application. Now that's only a minute of angle, 10 inches at 1,000, but there's a lot going on between the firing line and 1,000 yards, all the weather aspects and the outside effects on it. So to hit a 10-inch round plate at 1,000 is a good accomplishment for somebody going through a class for the first time. We've had to coach a few, but we're there to help them succeed, not try to pass and fail. We want them to succeed. And And a 10-inch round plate at 1,000 yards is about like making a headshot at 1,000 yards. So it's pretty intense, but we make it pretty fun also. The problem with being on the SRT team and being in Special Forces at the same time, even though it was a reserve unit, a lot of people don't understand that in Special Forces it's not 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks a year for annual training. We had a lot of 2 weeks a month training, and a lot of them started on a Thursday. So I was gone 4 days, sometimes twice a month, plus trying to cover 4 counties on the SRT team. And after about 3.5, 4 years of that, it became unmanageable. And I had to go back and take another 16 weeks of training. And I went to my post commander and I said, they're asking me to go again. And he told me, he said, Don, you know, I can't tell you no. He said, but I can't promise you that your spot will be here when you come back. I need somebody to fill your spot. So at that point, I went to Special Forces, my admin sergeant, and I said, it looks like I'm gonna have to drop out. I left there, and I still wanted to kind of stay in and kind of finish out my 6-year obligation. So I joined the 478th Combat Engineers Unit. Came back out and spent the next 3 years with them, and then just got out altogether. Then after I had a number of years in with the state police, the Department of Energy in their nuclear security contacted me, was interested in me joining them. So I left the state police and went into nuclear security at the only plant in the free world that produced 97% pure weapons grade uranium. Did that for about 3.5 years. My daughter was born. I was gone all the time with them. I was doing a lot of gunsmithing as a very serious hobby, and I had to make a decision to either have an absentee father with my daughter or maybe go full-time into gunsmithing. And I remember my wife and I sitting in the living room floor and her saying, just do it, you're going to be okay, just do it. And I was walking away from a lot, but I did. The general client that I have for handguns are mostly competitive shooters. The rifle classes and the people who buy our rifles are a gamut of people from police, military, long-range precision shooters, and long-range hunters. And we're doing a lot of rifles right now for people who want to shoot long-range hunting, elk and deer and so forth. I have some sponsored shooters that shoot my AR-15s and what they call the PCC, the 9mm pistol caliber carbines, and I have some people that I sponsor that shoot the 1911s in the USPSA and IPSC type shooting. And then we have some long-range precision shooters who go around and shoot what they call the PRS. And they give me a lot of feedback on where the trends are, what's going on, where I may need to take a particular chassis or a muzzle brake or a setup or whatever. And then each year I go to Montana and we shoot out to 1,500 yards and out to a mile, testing my rifles to make sure that they are accurate. A lot of guns are accurate at 100, and sometimes they'll fall off a little bit beyond that. I'm interested in that rifle that will maintain accuracy at whatever distance that the caliber will carry. And then we build a 338 Lapua that we pride ourselves in quite a bit, and it'll hit a sheet of typing paper at 1.5 miles. So that's pretty impressive from an accuracy standpoint. And actually, we're in the early stages of testing an extreme long-range 338 Lapua at 5,400 yards. And we're having special bullets turned out of solid material and a special barrel, the very unique twist rate. Because what happens when a bullet falls back through the sound barrier, or it comes back through what we call transonic, they rattle, they vibrate. Everything does. Anything that goes through the sound barrier, when it comes back through, it vibrates because there's a shock wave that comes around it. What we're trying to figure out is, can we design a bullet with a special nose, the ogive and the boat tail, and then the bearing surface that will minimize rattle falling back through transonic. And we've done fairly well. We've hit the target, that's a 4x4 target, and the shooter that we have testing this for us has hit that target 3 out of 10 rounds at 5,400 yards, which is about 3.3 miles. But the bullets are rattling, and 7 of them didn't hit it, but we're close. And part of the fun is trying to figure it out. So that's kind of what we're into: long-range precision shooting, accuracy. So I have a lot of people asking me about the business and how fulfilling it is. And first off, I love making things. I like taking a piece of metal, and at one time I was heavy into woodworking, or taking a piece of wood and actually creating something out of just a block of wood or a block of metal. Now, my passion being shooting, I get a lot more satisfaction out of building a handgun or a rifle. And it's very fulfilling to me. I've been extremely successful at it. It's something I love doing. My wife teases me every now and then and says, I think I'm gonna move your bed down there, because I'm 50, 60 hours a week in this shop, and I love every minute of it. And I love creating things, but I love creating things that have a purpose and that are very precise. I'm not looking to make anything sloppy just to make it. It has to look good, and it has to shoot good.